Welcome to the special council meeting of the Troutdale City Council, June 26th, 2025. We'll start with a roll call.
Okay. Councillor Andrews.
Here.
Councillor Allen.
Here.
Councillor One.
Present.
Councillor White.
Here.
Councillor Davidson.
Also present.
Councillor Leamy.
Here.
Mayor Ritma.
Here. All right. Agenda item number 2, public comment. Public comment on non-agenda and consent agenda items is welcome at this time. Public comment on agenda items will be taken at the time the item is considered. Public comments should be directed to the presiding officer and limited to matters of community interest or related to matters which may or could come before council. Each speaker shall be limited to 5 minutes for each agenda item unless a different amount of time is allowed by the presiding officer with consent of the council. Do we have anybody on Zoom who wishes to address the council? The matter before us is a resolution authorizing the city to negotiate a tentative employment agreement, so that's the subject you can't talk about, but I welcome public comment. All right, and there's no one in the room, so I'll close public comment and we'll move on to agenda item number 3. This is a resolution authorizing a city official to negotiate a tentative employment agreement and extend a conditional offer of employment for the city manager position. I would at this time welcome a motion to fill in the blank with the name Mike Weston.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the name Mike Weston into the open slot.
I'll second it.
Call a roll.
Okay. Mayor Ritma.
Yes.
Councillor White.
Yes.
Councillor Davidson.
Yes.
Councillor Leamy.
Yes.
Councillor Andrews.
Yes.
Councillor Allen.
Yes.
And Councillor One.
Yes.
All right. And now I would, with the resolution complete, I would welcome a motion on the resolution.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution authorizing a city official to negotiate a tentative employment agreement and extend a conditional offer of employment for the city manager position.
Second. All right. Sarah?
Okay. Mayor Ritma.
Yes.
Councillor White.
Yes.
Councillor Davidson.
Yes.
Councillor Leamy.
Yes.
Councillor Andrews.
Yes.
Councillor Allen.
Yes.
And Councillor One.
Yes.
All right. I believe that's the only item. So the next item, Eric, did you want to say something?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just on the negotiations, since we're now in the public session.
Yes.
Since we can't discuss salary in the executive session, I wanted to touch base briefly. I'd gotten a question. I had researched a little bit about this possibility. The most recent information in order to answer the question, a employment agreement for Mr. Weston in King City from January of last year, so 18 months ago, indicated a salary of $154,362. I did some calculations if there was a quote 3% COLA. I don't know that there was. I looked at the budget. I couldn't quite see whether he had received that and what the staff had gotten, but it's a reasonable assumption that it's gone up that much since January of 2024. That would bring it in at $158,993, or 159, 160, whatever you want to round it to. Our advertised range was 170 to 210. The midpoint of that range is 190. Doing some calculations and also the consideration of the city being a member paid pre-tax PERS IAP employer versus an employer paid pre-tax PERS employer. My calculation, I come up with a suggested $179.60. That would provide for a 10% raise, moving from one job to another, a reasonable, as well as then compensating for that additional 6% deduction that will now be applied to his salary that wouldn't have been in a employer paid. But that's just my frame of reference for you. The council is free to provide guidance anywhere within the 170 to 210 range, because that was what was advertised. And that was the, at least verbal conditional offer that the candidate indicated they were willing to entertain. And so with that, I wanted to get guidance from the council as to where along that range.
What is Ray's salary now? I think it's public. I think it's a public.
Did not bring that with me.
You know, backing out that 6% adjustment, I'm about at 205.
Yeah.
I think that's why we ended up bumping the range to 210, because originally, remember in the preliminary materials that we brought with Jensen, it was 170 to, or I think it was 160 to 200. We moved the whole range 10,000.
And we budgeted for 205. It's in the budget?
I don't remember what we budgeted for, I'm sorry. Mr. Miller. I didn't look
Probably
it up.
because it'd be a 3-something standard COLA rate due to the union, so probably 210, 211, 212 is what it's budgeted for.
Budgeted, okay.
We're likely to have budget adjustments anyway, because we'll have two salaries for a while. We have recruitment costs, et cetera.
Oh, that's right, that's true.
It's not gonna tie out precisely to what we budgeted.
But for just my opinion, we should consider offering Weston the same salary as we're paying Ray, but that's just my thought.
I wanted to just, when you did that calculation, does it take into effect, you would be going from kind of a smaller-ish city to kind of a larger city, and then there's expanded responsibilities, I think, so.
I simply took a look at where I estimate his current compensation might be, said you're gonna move from one job to another, you're usually looking for at least a 10% raise. And then I grossed it up for the 6% deduction. That's how I approached it somewhat, it's not the same type of position, but similar to what I deal with on, routine HR processes.
When I got hired, old Skinflint over here offered me 120, and we negotiated up to 135, which was the middle of the range. And when I checked all similar sized cities, that was like the average for cities of our size. So you always want to start at something and then give yourself some room. So offering something like probably 175 might be a good start, and maybe there's some place to move up within the range from there or something.
You have to think about as you said, the going from a smaller city to a larger platform, how comparable in terms of being as fully qualified on day one versus having a need to grow into the position. I'm not trying to run down my future boss by any means. I say that on the record because he's probably going to listen to
boss
this.
anyway, so what's the problem?
Well, he's probably going to listen to this, if I would expect off of YouTube. So.
Oh, Glenn, sorry.
Yeah, I thought the advertised pay was started at 165. I think that's what Jensen had back at.
170.
Not what the council adopted, right on the front of the cover, the brochure, 170 to 210.
Eric, I thought the way you formulated the offer was fair, and it leaves room to grow. He is coming to a bigger city, but he's also got to prove himself, and he seemed like the type of guy that would do this job for free. He was very gung-ho.
His wife might have cut to that salary rate.
I think that gives him some room and time to grow into the position. Maybe we could offer a 1-year review.
Well, presumably, I'm expecting that, as I had in the packet here, a copy of the sample employment agreement, it provides for the annual reviews, and I'm I'm expecting that what I'm going to end up bringing back to you once I fill in the blanks is going to be 95% what I provided you here as an example. And so assuming that review is going to be in there as well. It provides for an annual review on or around December 1st has been the traditional, and also gives the council discretion, to skip a year. And also council has the discretion at any time to, make a merit adjustment to the manager's pay, so.
I'm just gonna throw out a suggestion of the middle, 190. It's kind of between Glenn and Dave, or what you suggested and Dave, and I just wanna show, I think he's done a lot. I think he'll come with a lot of experience and ready to hit the ground running, and I wanna show we're invested in him too.
Yeah, no, 190 is exactly the midpoint of 170 to 210, just mathematically.
Yep.
Anyone else?
My original thoughts were about 180. I think probably within that range, 180 to 190 is for talks would be acceptable, but I would say let's start at 180. Given the fair jump over and everything calculated by yourself, given the fact that we can, again, once established, once we see some action on this front, at any point we can then give them a boost. And but I think that's a good entry point. I'm just leveling it out at 180, so a little jump up from 179, but I think that's a fair for myself.
Yeah, and based on the contract, December 1st would be the first review date, which is not quite 6 months, but he will have had an opportunity to be here and you get an impression of him. And
Would 180 then be the initial offer and subject to negotiation or something, or what are we getting confused here?
Well, I'm just looking for somewhat of a consensus from the council, because again, this is a public meeting. I'm assuming he's going to listen in, and so he's going to have heard your discussions and sort of know where the range is. And I will approach him, and we'll dance back and forth. And I don't know what other. Again, there weren't any really unusual or unique or expensive other benefits that he has in his existing contract, so there's no others that I'm expecting, but it's a negotiation. He's free to come back and say, he wants the current council president to deliver him a vanilla ice cream cone every Wednesday at noon as part of his benefits package. So
That'd be glad.
Sugar Pine drive through there?
Well,
we'll have to see what he
did you
proposed.
say he got a car?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Got a car?
Well, Troutdale has a car for him to make use of as city manager. In King City, apparently they don't, and so they provide him a monthly $1 stipend
We are the
to
ones
use
that
his
get it.
personal car.
All right, that's.
I don't intend to replicate that as a benefit offering, because
No, that's okay. All right, well, yes, go ahead, Jesse.
I think nobody really knows the numbers better than Eric. So I'm in line with Eric's 179, you call 180, because I do recognize Mike, he would hit the ground running. So a little recognition there, but the 10% bump seems appropriate. Like I said, I don't think anybody knows the numbers better than Eric, so I'll defer to him.
Are we going to vote on this, or do you just look for consensus?
if you wish, of course, but I'm not requiring it. It's not something we can discuss in exec session, which is why I needed to wait till now. And
Yeah. Okay, any further thoughts on this? Yeah, Glenn?
Is there gonna be any relocation cost? Do we know that yet?
I don't know unless he comes back and proposes it. It's not something that's in the base contract that I'm offering. I think the only one I'm aware of that we've ever done anything with that was Craig Ward, but he was coming up from, almost Seattle, and I don't anticipate that from Tualatin, which is where his current residence is, so.
Further discussion?
Okay, and then I had one, oh, sorry.
Well, Jeffrey, were you okay with 180? Then you had said
Well, I guess
190?
I would ask you the same thing, because we
Yeah, I know.
aired higher, so.
Yeah, I'm okay with 180.
I guess my comment would be, if we're looking at like in December, he gets his first review. I don't know normally how that works, that you give him a raise then anyway, so, I mean, I would think that 180 would be a good start, and then, you know.
Pleased with his performance, you can express that both as part of the performance review as well as monetarily. Okay?
Are we all okay with 180 then? Let's stick with that. That gives you your consensus.
Okay. Then I had one other item before we conclude, Mr. Mayor, if you're done with any guidance for me on negotiation.
No, go ahead.
One other item is nothing that I'm expecting you to make a decision about today, just something I wanted you to start pondering in the back of your mind. Bringing on a new city manager, enthusiastic, has got some skills, background, et cetera, but is of course new to Troutdale. Since June 30th of 2020, most of this council is different. And that was the last time that the city council adopted goals. So what I was going to suggest is you begin to think about, would it make sense, maybe in the September timeframe after he gets here and gets under his feet and so forth, that the city council may want to consider having a visioning session, strategic planning session, goal setting session. And I was going to suggest you think about it from the standpoint of also bringing in a facilitator that does that, because I think it might be a bit unfair to put that on the brand new manager who's still trying to learn everything to try and guide through the process.
I told all four of them that.
That idea is not on the agenda, and I'd be glad to discuss it, but I have very strong views about goals and goal setting. I never liked it, the way we did it. Carol's got a plane to catch, and this wasn't on the agenda, and I don't know why you're bringing it up, Eric, but I did hear favorable comments about goals, so I'm happy to talk about it, but there are reasons why I didn't like the goal setting we used to do. That 2020 list is probably something I don't like. And I can explain why, but I don't want to go into a lot of, I don't know.
And as I said, I'm not asking you to make a decision today. I just wanted to raise the topic for you to be thinking about it for the fall. And the new city manager will have his own views, and it's certainly not my call at all.
All right, let's
make you aware.
Yeah, let's talk to Mike about it.
I understand where Dave's coming from, and I would agree. That haven't gone through it. You explain why, I guess.
I mean, I can say in a few words, the goal setting was done on a brute force. We had a facilitator, we had council split with what they wanted to do, with lots of goals that were very vague, like let's reach out to other jurisdictions or something that we do anyway. And it was used against, I think, the best interests of Troutdale in many cases, because it was, this accomplishes one of our goals. So anyway, I'm happy to talk about it. This probably isn't the time.
Oh, I'll just write it. That was 2015 when that happened. When we did it in 2020, I felt the same way, Dave, about the last one. We narrowed it way down to be metricable goals that you could actually gauge. But
better.
that's for later, you're right.
It was better, but it was,
Yeah.
we've had some, over the years, some
Yeah.
bad experience with goals. And
You are correct.
the concept of goals is good, but I've seen it handled, it wasn't a plus. So let's all think about it over the summer, okay? And we can talk about it, and I'll talk to Weston about it, and we'll probably come up with something. And feel free to talk to me. I'd be glad to give you my views, you know that. Anyway, any other matters?
No, Mr. Mayor, that was, wanted to mention it.
I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.